welcome back. Today we're going to be changing the O2 sensors. I'll give you a quick bit of history for those of you that sort of don't follow the channel on a regular basis. Over the last year or so, I've had sort of a very minor hesitation problem with the car, so I've not really worried about it too much. I've concentrated on other jobs, but we have tried a few little fixes. We cleaned the throttle body, and I changed the throttle position sensor, changed the mass airflow sensor, had to change the oil air separator because it was leaking oil, not because it was burning oil, but obviously thought that might be a thing, but none of those seemed to put it right. So last week it went into Porsche to go on their diagnostic equipment to see if we can find out what's wrong with it, and it come up with neither of the oxygen sensors were working, which is quite odd. It's unusual for like two oxygen sensors to pack up at the same time, and it didn't bring up any check engine on the dashboard either, which normally when you get that problem it does do that. So anyway, we've got the oxygen sensors. We changed the left hand side, or the near side, because this is an English car, yesterday. That one was a real serious pig. It was seized in there. Probably took us, what, hour and a half? Malcolm was nodding his head to about an hour and a half. We had to heat it up with a blowtorch. We had to cut through the wires. It was a nightmare of a job. So anyway, we're now doing the driver's side. So I'll give you an insight into changing the O2 sensor. Now, if they don't seize, it should be a piece of cake, but we will see. So let's get on with the job. I'll pass the camera over to Malcolm and we'll get started. Okay, so we've got the car on the trolley jack, and we've also got it on the car jack over this side. We haven't put an axle stand under it because we're not really going to be going under the car to that degree. So there's the sensor that we've got to get out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try it out. Yeah. Okay, so the sensor's just there, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try the open-ended spanner on it and see if it is seized or not. So that's the first step. Right, okay, now one thing you've got to be careful of is not rounding off the bolt on the sensor, because if you round that off it's going to make life even harder getting it out. So if it doesn't go with the open-ended spanner, I have got the 22, haven't I? Yep. If it doesn't go reasonably easy with the open-ended spanner, then you're going to need to change to use the ring end of the spanner. It's a bit crappy, as you can see, but that can be an advantage sometimes because it will get the spanner on there better. Okay, that's the spanner on. So make sure the spanner is on to start off with, as well as you can get it on, so you don't round up or round off that nut. Okay, so what we're going to do now is see if it's going to give us any movement, and guess what? Alright, no. Okay, we now know this one is seized as well. Right, okay, so we've established that that's seized, so we're not going to muck around. We're going to cut the wires so we can get the ring spanner right onto it. We're going to heat it right up with the blowtorch. Now generally you need to get things a lot hotter than you imagine to get them to free up. Now the idea is to get the heat on the outside of the exhaust, so the exhaust expands but the actual sensor stays a bit cooler and doesn't expand quite as much. So that's what we're going to do now to try and... Yeah, I'm surprised. There we go, there's one, and it didn't explode. It looks much more dramatic on telly, probably because that's connected to loads of dynamite. Hang on. One more there.
Sleeving in the way.
Okay, so that's the wires connected. We'll take the plug off in a minute, or the wire's disconnected. So we can now get the ring spanner straight over the top of there. Okay, so
what we're trying to do is get the heat on to the actual exhaust and try and avoid the sensor itself, because we want the exhaust to expand but the sensor not to. Okay, it's going to try for me to see here, but what you're looking for, and I haven't got it there, is, if I can get it, is you're trying to get a blue point, that's better actually, into that flame. Actually that's done quite well, there you go. So that you get the flame as hot as you can. Right, you on? Okay, so we got that exhaust so that it was glowing. Now again, make sure you get that bloody spanner on there as well as you can, because you don't want to round that bolt off and it doesn't want to go down too much. Right, let's see if it'll move. Now what you can do, if Malcolm brings the camera just up onto the spanner, to give yourself some extra leverage, what you can do is you hook that over there like that, and that gives you a bit more. Now Malcolm's going to watch while I pull. And he's looking for any movement in the exhaust and any movement in the sensor. And as you see, as Malcolm just said, that is going. So, am I going to get the movement I want? Don't think so. I'm going to have to try and get a bit more on there. Let's get it on there. Okay, let's try and get just to get an extra. So as you can see, you've got to get it right round before you can get the spanner on to the next swing. That's not going to go through there. Yes, it is. Okay.
Better than yesterday's.
Yeah, this is going a little easier than yesterday's. But we were a little more ginger with it yesterday because we weren't sure of the situation. That needs to come round. Now, see, that time I managed to get that spanner on nice and a good grip on it, yeah? That spanner's gone on nicely there. I get that little extra movement. I should be able to get that round. Come on to the next thing. Is it going to go on to the next thing? Come on. You've got to get that right round up against that each time to get the spanner to move round. Sorry, I didn't mean to knock you on the camera there. Again, let's get that spanner on there. I'm going to get that on that better than there. Right, now, okay, we're just going to show you another little technique. Once you've got it moving that little bit, put your WD-40 on it.
As you can see, it's warm.
Put the spanner back on, and then what you do is you start going like that. So you go that way, and then you go.
That was coming off that.
Yeah, see, so you can feel it coming off, and then you go that way, that way. It's a bit time consuming, but what it does is it works the WD-40 and it helps to helps to clean the threads. I don't know where I got unclean from. Probably Malcolm's car.
That's perfect.
More of the old go-go juice.
It's already been duly noted that we've had the car bombarded this morning by the birds.
What, your car?
Yeah, they took a dislike to it, I think.
That's understandable. We are talking about 5.
No, high and dry.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Oh, his other car. Now, the other thing I'm just going to point out, we've had a few comments about Dan doing all the work and me not getting my hands dirty in the past. So, I have dirty hands
with it. They're not dirty.
They're dirty.
Got a bit of dust on them.
Ow, that was my finger. Okay. Okay. It's not really. Now that's it. I must say, although this one was tricky, it has gone easier than the other side. Right, so you just keep working that like that so that it loosens it up each time. And as you can see, it gets easier and easier and easier. Right, do you want to just pause that for a minute, because otherwise we're going to have half an hour. Okay, so we've loosened that, I think, now far enough to undo it with my fingers. And as you can see now, I've got a glove on because my hands were getting dirty. No, I put the glove on because obviously that was a bit warm and the spanner was a bit warm, so it's just that. I'll try from on top here. So there we go. So same thing again, all the way out, just sort of give it some of that. Let's just twist it backwards and forwards. It just helps to clear the threads and gives you a nice nice sort of thingy. So there you go, that's nice and free. I'm free. So now what we've got to do is get the plug out. So if Malcolm wants to go underneath with the camera again. I've got the microphone. We're using a microphone under the wheel arch because it's quite windy. So we're trying to get the sound better for you. Now can you see that? Can you see that the plug is up here?
Not really.
Okay, so the plug's there where my finger is. Can you see that on your screen?
Yeah, well, we've got this anti-roll bar right in the way,
right.
Drive shaft.
Okay, yeah.
Way,
well, basically that unclips. If I pull that round here, and I'll unclip that from there. All right, so that's got a clip in there that it lifts out of quite easily. Okay, so now this is on the new plug. This is quite easy. But what you do is you just go into there just to get that going, and you just flick that up like that. And that slides up, and out it comes. Here is our new sensor. Can you see that? You got that? Obviously you take that off. Now the sensor the other side, we had some problems with it going in, but this side's come out a lot easier, so hopefully it won't be so problematic going in. It's got some anti-seize stuff on it there, so they're not supposed to seize in there. And there you can see is your plug. Now on the other side I thought it wasn't plugging in properly, but what happens is the plug goes in, then as you push this down it pulls the plug in and locks the plug in there nice and tight. So if it doesn't seem very tight when you put it in, it will, when you push that down, it will lock it in there. But first we're going to put the sensor in, because obviously what you don't want to do is corkscrew all the wire up on it. Now I've got two extra sensors. The sensors I paid £30 for, which is a good price. I've got two extra sensors because I'm planning on changing the cats at a later date, and what I'm going to do is put the new sensors in the new cats, swap the whole lot over. Then if I can get these out on the workbench, I'll keep these as spares. So let's get this back in. So okay, right, so what I'm going to do first is spray a bit of WD-40 in there so we get a nasty smell and smoke out the exhaust when we start it up. It's not really so we do that, but it's just to hopefully kind of make these threads go a little easier. And then we'll drop that over there, and that into there. If my hand in, I'll try and get my hand out.
No, it's just
I'll try and keep my hand out of the way. Now obviously the most important thing when you're putting this back in, I'm going to have to put my hand under there. The most important thing when you're putting it back in is that you don't cross thread it. Let's get both hands in there. And as I say, watch the cable, because it does, you can feel it starting to corkscrew itself up as you're screwing it in. Okay, right, that's started. Now, as I say, with the other side, we did have a few problems. It was a bit iffy going in, but this side started easier, so hopefully it'll go in better. Of course, if you drop the spanner, it'll take you a little longer, but that's the fun of motor cars.
It'll go in there, but no.
Well, Malcolm's supposed to be on coffee duty.
Christ, how many hands do you think I've got?
Obviously not enough. Okay, everyone in the comments, do you think it's time Malcolm went and put the kettle on? Now, you don't want to over tighten these, because obviously you've got to get them out next time, but what you do need is a gas tight seal. Not a navy seal, not a navy seal, a gas tight seal. Alright, I'm going to call that quits there. Oh, I don't need you to do it because that's it. Okay, now, when you plug this in, the grooves are offset, so they match like that. So if you get it the wrong way around, you'll have problems. Now, that goes into there, and this is what got me yesterday. You put that in, and you think, well, that makes you think it's not plugged in. Also helps you've got that pulled out. But
I was just going to say that.
but yeah, you put that in there and you think, oh, that's loose, that's not plugging in. But what happens, you can see on there, the angle, as, I'll try and get that, you got a nice view on that?
Yep.
As you push that in, I don't know if you can see that, it's pulling it down. So that now is nice and tight. Right, so Malcolm's going to go back down underneath with the camera, because he's in my way, and I need to get under there and hook that back in. Okay, that slips into there. I don't know if you can really see that, but then, now we have got a slight problem on this side because there's the clips missing that holds the cable. Let's clip that cable back in that side. That's done. Now, there should be a clip here that holds this cable up out the way, but it's not there. So Malcolm's going to go and get me a little cable tie, aren't you? You got a little cable tie anywhere? And what we'll do is we'll just cable tie that to keep it up out the way. Okay, so there should be a clip there. Malcolm's just gone and got me cable tie, and in actual fact he's got me 3 in case I need an extra one, and I think he could be right here, because what I'm going to do is put one,
There's 2
round there. Right?
Don't.
You're trying to confuse me. Okay, put one there. I'm not going to over tighten that because I don't want it chafing or rubbing and cutting through. Then I'm going to get my useless blunt wire cutters and just snip that off there. And then what I think I may do, how does that look actually? Does that look like that's okay to you? What I was thinking was just, yeah, I think I will. What I'm going to do, if I can get up there, I'm sorry my hands are in the way of the shot, but what I'm going to try and do is come round there. So what I've done is come round the other cable. Okay, so what we've done, I'll just come in, I can get me, I don't know if I can, we've got one there and one around the original clamp where the original bracket should be there, just to get, the main thing obviously is to keep the cable away from your drive shaft.
Yeah.
You really do not want it getting wrapped around that. Okay, if you want to bring that out here again. Right, so that's the O2 sensor changed. This side was a lot easier than the other side. That was seized up a hell of a lot more. As you can see, I've got my hands dirty. And hopefully the car's up. We'll run the car up in a minute before we put the wheel back on, just to check it. It's obviously probably going to take a little while for the car to settle in and retune itself for everything, and the ECU to reset all of its settings on it. But there you go. As I say, I bought 4 of the sensors. Shop around for the sensors, because the variation in pricing on them is absolutely massive. They vary in price quite considerably. Right, anything you want to add?
Not really, other than your dirty hands. Did you fall over?
Yeah. Just in case you can't hear Malcolm, because we've got the microphone clipped up here.
His dirty hands, he fell over.
Yeah, he's taking a mickey that I didn't get my hands dirty doing any work. Well, I hope you found that helpful. Hope you found it useful. And we'll see you on the next video, which will probably be changing all the top mounts on the front suspension. So, till then, we'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Oh, come back now.